For years, the story of the electric vehicle revolution has been dominated by a few massive, unavoidable names. We've all been watching the intense tug-of-war between America's Tesla, rewriting the rules of automotive software, and Japan's Toyota, fiercely defending its hybrid legacy while slowly pivoting to full electrification. And of course, there is China's BYD, a manufacturing juggernaut pushing out EVs at a scale that has legacy automakers terrified. If you read the financial news or listen to auto industry experts, it feels like the entire future of transportation is locked inside this specific billionaire-backed cage match. Who is building the biggest gigafactory? Who has the longest range? Whose self-driving software is the smartest? But in the technology world, true disruption rarely announces itself with a megaphone. The most dangerous threats to the status quo usually arrive quietly, from a direction nobody was looking. While the world was hyper-focused on the premium tech race, another Chinese automotive giant executed a masterstroke. Geely quietly rolled out its new compact electric vehicle, the Geely EX2, and launched it into the highly competitive Australian market. At a passing glance, the EX2 doesn't look like a revolutionary machine. It isn't wrapped in stainless steel, it doesn't do 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, and it isn't packed with luxury gimmicks. It is a small, pragmatic, aggressively simple electric car built explicitly for tight city streets and daily commutes. But then the auto industry looked at the price tag, and a collective chill went down the spines of executives in Detroit, Tokyo, and Stuttgart. In its domestic market, the starting price for this fully capable electric vehicle sits at around $15,000.
In today's economic climate, where the average cost of an electric car heavily limits who can actually buy one, delivering a functional, reliable, full electric vehicle at that price point isn't just difficult. For most Western automakers, it is mathematically impossible. This small, unassuming city car has instantly become the most talked about anomaly in the EV space. But the real story here is not just about a cheap price tag. It's about the underlying architecture of the automotive world shifting beneath our feet. How exactly is a company managing to produce a profitable EV for $15,000 when others struggle to do it for 3 times that amount? What specific battery chemistry is unlocking this unprecedented affordability? And why could this tiny car be the spark that burns down the current hierarchy of the global auto industry? The answers reveal a brilliantly calculated strategy that goes far beyond a single vehicle. To understand the magnitude of this threat, we first have to understand the silent giant behind it. Many casual consumers might not recognize the name Geely in the same way they recognize Ford or Honda. But underestimating Geely is a fatal mistake. Over the last 2 decades, it has evolved from a modest domestic manufacturer in China into a sprawling, aggressively ambitious global technology conglomerate. Geely didn't just want to build cheap commuter cars. They wanted to absorb world-class engineering. That's why they outright purchased Volvo cars, the Swedish brand globally synonymous with uncompromising safety and premium engineering. By bringing Volvo under its umbrella, Geely absorbed decades of top-tier crash testing data, safety innovations, and European design philosophy. But they didn't stop there. They also took a major stake in Lotus, the legendary British sports car manufacturer renowned for lightweight performance and track-dominating handling. When a single corporate entity possesses the safety pedigree of Volvo, the high-performance DNA of Lotus, and the manufacturing scale of China, they cease to be just another car company. They become an all-encompassing automotive empire. Over the last few years, Geely has quietly funneled billions into next-generation battery tech, advanced software architecture, and highly adaptable modular car platforms. The Geely EX2 is the direct result of all that hidden infrastructure. It isn't a cheap car built cheaply, it is a highly engineered product optimized for cost efficiency. And that efficiency is exactly what modern cities are begging for. Look at the reality of global urbanization.
Traffic congestion in major metropolitan areas is universally worsening. Parking spaces are shrinking, and the cost of living is rising. The average driver doesn't need a massive, heavy electric SUV to commute 20 miles to work, drop the kids off at school, and grab groceries. They need a vehicle that makes daily life frictionless.
The Geely EX2 was engineered backward from this exact problem. Its compact footprint makes sliding through narrow, congested streets effortless. Finding parking becomes an afterthought rather than a daily stress test. Aesthetically, it embraces minimalist, modern EV design. Because it lacks a massive internal combustion engine, it doesn't need a sprawling, aggressive front grille. It looks clean, friendly, and practical. It isn't trying to be a status symbol. It is an appliance for mobility. Historically, this is exactly how automotive revolutions happen. The Ford Model T didn't change the world because it was the fastest car. It changed the world because the average factory worker could buy one. The Volkswagen Beetle and the original Mini Cooper transformed global transit by democratizing mobility. We are now reaching that exact tipping point in the electric era. The EV revolution will not be won by the company that builds a $100,000 luxury cruiser. It will be won by the company that successfully puts an EV in the driveway of the working class. But how does a company actually achieve a $15,000 price point without bankrupting itself? The secret lies deep inside the floorboard of the car. The single most expensive component of any electric vehicle is the battery pack. If you can fundamentally break the cost curve of the battery, you break the cost curve of the entire vehicle. To pull this off, Geely is leaning heavily into LFP, or Lithium Iron Phosphate battery technology. For a long time, the industry was obsessed with nickel-manganese-cobalt batteries because they offered dense energy storage. But those metals are incredibly expensive, volatile, and subject to massive global supply chain bottlenecks.
LFP chemistry flips the script. It uses iron and phosphate, materials that are abundant, cheap, and easy to source. The manufacturing cost drops dramatically, but the benefits don't stop at the spreadsheet. LFP batteries are inherently safer. They are far less prone to thermal runaway, which is the chemical chain reaction that causes dangerous battery fires. They also degrade much slower, meaning the battery can be charged to 100% every single day without severely damaging its long-term lifespan. But the battery chemistry is only half the magic trick. The real advantage is China's terrifyingly efficient, vertically integrated supply chain. China isn't just building cars, they have monopolized the entire life cycle of the electric vehicle. From the mining of the raw minerals, to the chemical refinement, to the manufacturing of the battery cells, the electric motors, and the complex control modules, it all happens within a deeply interconnected domestic network. An American or European automaker often has to ship raw materials across 3 continents before a battery pack is finalized. Geely operates in an ecosystem where the entire process happens in their backyard. This total elimination of shipping, tariff, and middleman costs is the real reason a $15,000 EV exists. Yet, affordability is useless if the car is miserable to drive. Buyers want a bargain, but they refuse to buy a compromise. This is where the EX2 surprises skeptics. Small city EVs in this category are targeting a specific sweet spot for range, usually between 250 and 350 kilometers on a single charge. For someone driving cross-country, that sounds limiting. But data shows that the vast majority of urban drivers travel less than 50 kilometers a day. A 300-kilometer range means the average owner only needs to plug this car in once or twice a week. Furthermore, the driving dynamics of electric motors completely mask the car's small stature. Because EVs deliver 100% of their torque instantly the moment you touch the pedal, small electric cars feel incredibly zippy and responsive. It darts through intersections and merges into city traffic with an agility that internal combustion engines simply cannot match at this price point. It isn't a race car, but it is perfectly tuned for the concrete jungle. So, with a disruptive car ready to go, the next massive question was where to launch it. A strategic rollout is just as vital as the engineering. Out of all the markets in the world, why did Geely choose Australia as the primary testing ground?
It might seem like an unorthodox choice compared to massive markets like Europe or North America, but Australia is the ultimate proving ground for the future of autotech. The Australian consumer base is highly receptive to new technology, and their adoption rate of EVs is currently skyrocketing as citizens look to move away from wildly fluctuating gasoline prices.
More importantly, Australia's market is completely import-driven. They do not have a massive domestic auto manufacturing industry to fiercely protect with tariffs or restrictive red tape. It is an open, highly competitive arena where the best product wins. If a new, highly affordable Chinese EV can land in Australia, survive the varied climates, impress the tech-savvy consumers, and prove its reliability as a daily driver, it sends a massive green light to Geely. A success in Australia proves the business model is bulletproof, providing the exact data and consumer confidence needed to launch a full-scale invasion into Europe and beyond. What we are witnessing is not just the release of a cheap car, we are watching the execution of a masterful global strategy. Chinese automakers have realized that the end game is not just selling a vehicle, but owning the entire technological ecosystem. They are turning car manufacturing into something closer to the smartphone industry, highly integrated, aggressively scaled, and priced to capture maximum market share. If this strategy succeeds, the existential crisis for legacy automakers will be impossible to ignore. How does a company whose cheapest electric model starts at $35,000 or $40,000 compete with a fully realized, technologically sound EV that costs less than half that amount? Tesla revolutionized the software and the sex appeal of the electric car, and Toyota mastered the hybrid transition, but neither of them has successfully cracked the code of true, uncompromising affordability. History has proven time and again that whenever a groundbreaking technology finally reaches a price point that the working class can comfortably afford, the world changes forever. The era of the electric vehicle as a luxury novelty is rapidly closing. The era of the electric vehicle as an everyday necessity is here. And the companies that fail to adapt to this new, ruthless reality of pricing might just find themselves left behind in the rearview mirror.